What is up, guys and gals? It's Dusty here with a question before we begin today's story, and it's this. If you had one word you could say, just one, before you die, what would it be? Make sure to answer in the comment section below. I'm excited to see what you all had to say, and with that out of the way, let's get on to the story. So, my mom was born with a 700 million. She could talk all day, every day, and still live to see old age. Dad, well, his number was a little bit lower, but that suited him fine. He was the type of guy who could have a whole conversation with nothing but a look and a grunt. Me, well, that's a whole different story altogether. I'm one of 387 people in the history of the world to be born with a 1. Our condition is commonly known as being a 1 word. We're a lot like mutes, except they are born with zeros and go on living regardless. In a world where lives are measured in sentences, mutes are the exception that makes the rule. 1 words, well, we fit the system. We are as limited by our number as anyone else. Most 1 words pass away quite young. I suppose toddlers don't know not to say mama or papa. So where does all this leave me? Well, I'm one of 16 1 words who have made it into adulthood. Of the other 16, only 2 are still alive. There is Teo Su, who works as a programmer in Hong Kong. As a child, Teo Su was stopped by talking by his harsh but loving parents. Then there's Jody. She's a Canadian zookeeper. I have met both of them a couple of different times. The first time we all met was at a research lab in Germany, where we were subjected to an array of different tests. Scientists trying to figure out if sighing, whistling, or humming counts as words or not. For the record, they don't. As a matter of fact, I am quite the whistler. The second time we all met, we were brought on to a TV talk show. Dad got a real kick out of that. Imagine a talk show having 3 guests who won't say anything. It was ridiculous. The interviewer kept asking and answering her own questions. I did enjoy the trip though. I mean, who would say no to a free holiday in California? For most of my life, being unable to communicate has held me back. I was forced to go to an all-girls school for mutes, but I never fit in. Most of the other girls would hassle me and try to trick me into speaking. Outside the mute community wasn't much better. Normal people assumed I had wasted all my words. There's a fair bit of taboo around word wasters. It comes from the old days when life was harsh. Everyone had to live as long as possible so they could give back to the community. Back then, wasting words was a grave sin. One day, the whole world changed. An amazing man, a genius inventor by the name of Nikolai Champon, changed the world with a single invention. Nikolai built a device that reads brainwaves and outputs speech. It was finally possible to speak without the need to actually talk. For most people in the world, this was a neat way to increase their life expectancy. For me, well, it was the start of my life. No longer held back by a single digit, I took on the world. I became a singer and a well-known media personality. Soon after, a romance between Nikolai and I blossomed and were soon married. In our 3rd year of marriage, we had a son. We named him George. Life was beautiful and glorious. That was 48 years ago this May. Nikolai and I watched our son grow and start a family of his own. Unfortunately though, Nikolai developed dementia in his 60s. The disease caused him to ramble. He passed towards the end of last year. Nowadays, I am left alone. For the first time in my life, it's not that I cannot speak, but instead I have no one to speak to. George visits from time to time, but he can't waste his life chatting away with an old lady. I have lived an amazing life, and I am content. All that is left for me now is to say goodbye.